Hello, and welcome to Mere Words. I'm your host, Jacob Mueller, and I feel a little silly. I haven't read any scary stories this month, considering, it's October, and we should be getting ready for Halloween. But I'm sure you can understand it's been hard to get into the holiday spirit, given the circumstances. But it's time to change that. Last week we read Ruth Joffre's A Girl Turns to Stone. Now we're going to read the best poem for October nights, written by the father of Gothic literature. Today we are reading Edgar Allan Poe. Poe had a very difficult time, even by 1800s America standards. His stepfather was neglectful to him, and his stepmother, who died a horrible death from tuberculosis. His dearly beloved wife died from the same disease. He constantly had to fight both a difficult work environment and a poor public image. In the end, Poe was found nearly dead in a ditch in Baltimore. His last words completely capture his life. Lord help my poor soul. Poe is often considered a romantic writer, but I see him as more of a horror writer, and one of the best. He's called the master of the macabre for a very good reason. His work deals with murder, insanity, and cruel fate. Today's piece was written before the death of Poe's wife, and was likely himself trying to prepare mentally for her death. In that respect, today's work has an equally compelling companion piece, Annabel Lee, which I highly recommend you read. It's one of my favorites. Alright everyone, let's get into the Halloween spirit together. I've been playing it all month and I can't take it anymore. Open a window, feel the October breeze, watch the sun go down as the world around you fades into black night. For your reading pleasure, I present The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volumes of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Oh, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden who the angels name Lenore, nameless here, forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entering entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entering entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more." Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely, that is something at my window lattice. Let me see there, then, what that is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt or flutter, in there stepped a stately raven, of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obscency he made, not a minute he stopped or stayed, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched above a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, but the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn or shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevance it bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpted bust upon his chamber door, with such a name as nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only shock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom a merciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hopes that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into me smiling, straight I wheeled at cushioned seat, in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to liking, fancy on to fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, with no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining. The lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, ah, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim, whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by the angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest, toss thee here ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted. Tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, by the heaven that bends above us, by the God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a saintly maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend I streaked upstarting, get thee back into thy tempest, and the night's plutonium shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak out from thy heart, take thy form off from my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flirting, still is sitting on a pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Sometimes the most beautiful things can be found in solemn darkness. Thank you so much for joining me today. I was honored to take you through the masterful work of Poe. If you have any suggestions on what kind of poetry you'd like to hear on the show, send an email to jdm154@shsu.edu and I'll take a look. That'll be enough for today, but we aren't exactly done with Halloween yet. I have one more thing to get you into the holiday spirit. A short story, written by Poe's successor, an author who took Gothic literature to the weirdest edge of the cosmos. I'll see you then. Farewell.